explanation and tip sharing session for DoubleFeature. It is our newest release. Obviously you have it because you couldn't have found the web page where we hid the video if you didn't. These two books are really cool. They use what I call the loose deuce principle. That is, when you flip the pages, every set of pages you flip is actually a pair of pages. But unlike the coloring book or the Svengali deck where the pages are cut, notice here that the trim is absolutely straight. It basically goes back to the idea that when you get a magazine and the postcards force you almost always to open to that page, which is one thing that Richard Osterland has used for a page force in a magazine test, and he very generously allowed us to use it for eye candy. But the idea got me to thinking, what happens if every other page is postcard weight, or at least a great deal heavier? Will it work the same way? Well, in fact, it does. We worked very closely with our printer, who bound some test books for us of different weights of paper, and we tried them out, lo and behold, and voila, worked perfectly. So that's the loose deuce principle, and basically here's how it operates. Notice that the thickness of the book, it's about 1/2 inch thick or so. But if you pull back and bevel the pages as if to flip, and this is about 45 degrees, as you can see, that is, it's 45 degrees from the vertical. This is 90. You can do it with as little as 45. You can also do it one-handed by pulling it way back, but 45 is more than enough. Nonetheless, when you flip through the book from front to back, you'll notice that all of the different movies and their posters show very clearly and plainly. If you flip through from back to front, what you're going to discover instead is, in the back, there are nothing but a bunch of different Star Wars posters. And with the associated information on these pages, I'll talk about that in a second. Then in the center of the book, we have a bunch of Forrest Gump. So as you can see, this is basically then going to be a force book. And in the front, you'll find Dracula. The Dracula name, by the way, the Dracula franchise is almost as prolific as McDonald's. There are more movies named Dracula than any other title, or with Dracula in the title. So finding posters wasn't all that difficult. You'll also need 3 or 4 colored bookmarks. In this case, we found some things around the studio. We have red, white, yellow, and orange. I think in the instructions we talked about red, white, and green, or red, white. It doesn't really matter as long as you have different colored bookmarks. And your presentation is this: I am a cinephile. I love films, and so does my partner Larry Becker. And between the two of us, we have probably every book on Hollywood and movies ever printed. I know I have 2, Larry has the rest. And as such, we're rather interested in movie trivia as well. Did you know, for example, that George Burns' career was revitalized when he filmed The Sunshine Boys with Walter Matthau, but he wasn't the first choice for the film. Actually, the part was written for another old-time comedian, Jack Benny. But by the time they got around to producing the film, Jack Benny had assumed room temperature, and so they went to their backup, who was George Burns, and the legend was reborn. Likewise, many people don't know that for the very famous film, The Wizard of Oz, Judy Garland was not the first choice to play the part of Dorothy. Instead, there was a young contract ingenue with MGM named Deanna Durbin. And only with considerable lobbying and effort did they get Judy Garland into the part, and of course history was made. So what would happen then if a different actor played the part in a famous movie? Well, with 100 of the century's classic films from which to choose, I don't think it'll be too difficult. Would you help me, sir? And then that's when you ask someone to come up and join you. All we need is your arm, Larry. Okay. And remember, when you go front to back, they're all different. When you go back to front, like this, All you need to do is just lift it slightly above your participant's vision, and you can look. Just drop it in there anywhere you like. We'll use that film. Thank you very much. You go to a second person. Yellow will be your choice. Once again, let's go a little deeper. If you will, just drop it in there anywhere you like. Good. That's that one. And you, sir, and finally the third, and of course you're riffling now the front third of the book. If you will, just drop it in there anywhere you like. Great. We will use these 3 films to construct a fantasy flick of our own. Now here's why, one of the reasons you use bookmarks, and one of the reasons why it's facing you. Remember, it's just a book full of movies, and they are the ones who are not allowed to see when they're making the random choice. It doesn't matter if you do, because you've just shown all the pages to be different. We've put into the book a telltale that you can use very, very easily, just to make sure before you go into the final bit o' business, if everything is as it should be. And that is, if you'll pull back just a little bit on the bookmark, what you're going to be looking at over the top of the book is this little film strip that's on the page. Now, in all of the films at the back of the book, and that would be all of the Star Wars, notice that and we're going to zoom right in on this. We're going to zoom right in on this. You will notice that the little film strip is light gray at the top and dark gray at the bottom. In the center section, if you were to pull back and take a look, you would see just the reverse. It's dark at the top and light at the bottom. And then if you go to the third page, now we're back to the original position, light on top and dark on the bottom again. That means then that you have a final check after the bookmarks are in. All you need to do is just kind of pull back, and you're actually looking at all 3 bookmarks, all 3 pages right across the top, and you can easily see that 2 of them are as one direction and the one in the middle is the other way. You're good to go. The 4th bookmark is used in case that ain't so. We'll get to that in a second. So you're all set. Now the one at the back, for example, suppose I had set up to be Star Trek, which is the one I personally like to use, because I am a Trekker, not a Trekkie, a Trekker. So the movie is going to be Star Trek, and then we're going to select the actor next from the center. That will always be, of course, Tom Hanks, because that's the Forrest Gump section. And the actress from the front part of the book will, in this case, always be Helen Chandler, the relatively unknown but peripatetic co-star of the Bela Lugosi Dracula films. You see, what you can do is you can take a movie title and then either of the 2 remaining actors and actresses mixed, okay? And you will also notice that on the page, they're very clearly shown. For example, right here it says co-stars. Okay, right there, very near the top, so you can direct people to it instantly. As well, on the page, there's some other stuff, and that's for a finale, for a kicker. So you say, what we'll do then? And don't be afraid to hand the book now to someone. It doesn't really matter. The bookmarks are there. Yours was the red bookmark. You get to pick the movie title. So whatever title you selected, that's the one we'll use. Then the person will open it to his bookmark. He'll see he's looking at Star Wars, and just place that in your mind, and don't forget, thank you. You go to the second person. You, sir, will choose the leading man. He'll be one of the co-stars listed for that movie. Go ahead, open it up. He'll open it up, and he'll notice that the leading man right there, and use the words leading man or leading lady. Okay, not actor or actress, because that's what it says, leading man, leading lady. And that will be Tom Hanks. And then the third person, if you will, well, you're left picking the leading lady. So which one did you select at random? And it turns out to be Helen Chandler. Now, if you wish, you can simply just have this information written down and then reveal it. If you wish, you can read their minds. I see you are concentrating on the film. I get the impression but you had the book, it's not quite that strong. What we recommend is, on the same web page where you found this film. Download the PDF. It is 3 distinctly different movie posters. Print them out on your inkjet printer, and then in hand, in a broad felt tip pen, cross out the actor and actress names on the film that you're using and handwrite in the other 2. That way, when you have the movie poster and it will be rolled up from the bottom, then you can mention, not only am I a cinephile, but I'm a little bit of a collector. I keep replicas of famous posters. What was the film? And of course, he'll say Star Wars. And the moment you open it to reveal and all the titles are near the top, so you'll immediately get your hand for having done that. And and the co-stars were Tom Hanks and Helen Chandler. That's when you open it all the way down to the bottom, and be sure to hold it like this, not like this. Okay? And there it is, starring Tom Hanks and Helen Chandler. You guys are great. Give them a big hand, okay? Now, you can use any of the 3 movie posters and then just pick the alternate other names. It's explained in the download. Now, what happens if you pull one of your bookmarks back to take a look and, just solid gray? You see, on all of the genuine pages, the little film strip in the corner is solid gray. It's neither light nor dark on either end. Well, if one of your bookmarks happened to go in there and you notice it, that's why we have bookmark number 4. That's so then you can go back to the section that you need to force. For example, this was in the center and should have ended up Tom Hanks. We don't know why it didn't, but we'll fix that. So now as you're riffling along, say, and let's select one more. Move this one all the way to the back, like that. Still in the same place. That way you go through again, drop the 4th bookmark in, and now, of course, you're going to end up selecting the Tom Hanks film, Forrest Gump. So what's the 4th one for? Well, I thought I'd throw in a little extra. So after you've had the movie created, hand the book to someone and say, by the way, you are going to pick out one of whom Gloria Swanson called the little people. That would be the technicians who make the film possible. We're talking about the editor, the key grip, the camera dolly guy, the cinematographer, people like that. Not the bigwigs, not the producer, the director, the writer, but the little guys. If you will, open the book and you'll see a whole bunch of little guys. And of course, on every film, there they are. They are listed as production credits. And by the way, notice as you go through every page, it appears to be a different set. Even on the force pages, by the way, it appears to be of production credits. Everybody. What is that? Well, even though we have all different names, ask someone, if you will, select one of those production people, and on your bookmark, please write down that name. Good? Got it. Close the book. Thanks. Then you'll hand him, and it's in the 4th page of the PDF, and it's a little movie marquee. And you'll ask that person, please transfer the name to the movie marquee. Make it nice and large so the folks in the back row can see it. Just fill each square, and they're little tiny gray square, or big gray squares, but very lightly printed. Fill up each area with the letters as large as you can, big block letters. And then you begin to spell or divine letters in the name. You're not going to spell the name itself, because you can claim, well, I'm a little dyslexic today. I'm getting those letters in the name out of order, but I'm fairly confident it's 11 letters, isn't it? All the names are 11 letters. It's 11 letters, isn't it? Okay. Concentrate. Look at them. I know I'm going to call them out of order. Just cross them off as I call them out, and then turn toward your audience, paying no more attention at all to the person with the marquee. And you begin like this. All right, I get a sense of there is an H. I get the definite impression of an H. Is that correct? Yes. There is an E but no F. Correct? Yes. Cross it off. It's not a V, it's the other way around. It's an A. There's an A in that name, isn't there? Yes. Keep going, concentrate. Aha! I see a... no, it's not a P, it's a larger, it's a D. There's a D, is that correct? Yes. There's a... Let me go a little faster now. There's an N and an O, but not a K or a U. Correct? Yes. And there's an S. It's not a Z. There's an S. Yes. And a T. Yes. Very quickly now, I'll get the last three letters. There's an R, an I, and an L. Yes, yes, yes. Well, what you've just done is spelled a couple of words. Head, nostril. H-E-A-D-N-O-S-T-R-I-L. 11 letters. And so then I say an H but not a K, an E but not an F, and so on. That simply describes the fact that, or camouflages the fact that, because if you said there's an H, an E, an A, and a D, some wiseacre in the audience is going to say, ooh, a head. And then when you spell nostril, you know, someone may pick up on that. So, or if you wish, if you feel comfortable doing it, you can also spell them out of order in the word head, nostril. All right? Or if you want to, you can memorize any one of those names and spell that name, because all of these names are spelled with exactly the same 11 letters. They are the most common letters in the English language. Now, that does seem to be an awful lot to remember. Nah, it's really easy. You see, on the back of the book, and we're going to get another close-up here, on the back of the book, you will notice that all of these posters are showing as decorative art. But notice just outside the white area here, between the white box and the back of the book, there's a set of 4 posters. And the very top one says, Target Piggy. And there's a sniper scope on her head, in fact, right on her nostril. Head, nostril. That's your cue. Notice the next one down is actually the film Dracula with Bela Lugosi and Helen Chandler. The next one down below that is going to be the Forrest Gump poster with Tom Hanks and Sally Field. And then finally, the very last one in that row of 4 is going to be the... What?
Star Wars.
I know that.
Oh, okay.
It's going to be Star Wars with Harrison Ford and Carrie Fisher. So those are all of the reminders you need. Just remember, this is the Target Piggy here, and this is the first set of pages, this is the middle set of pages, and this is the last set of pages, and you're good to go. Now, let's talk about on this day, because this one is also really cool. The way I would present this is very simple. How many of you here believe in reincarnation? And a few hands will go up, and then you say, "Welcome back." Now I didn't believe in reincarnation the first time. Of course, I have a cousin who probably shouldn't have been incarnated in the first place. He's spending this entire existence repeating the same set of mistakes. But for those of you who might believe in afterlives, imagine who you might have been in a previous life. Well, for example, if you were born on, let's see, April 18th, you could have been Paul Revere, who on that day rode to warn colonists the British are coming. Or on July 10th, RCA Victor registers its logo of a dog peering into the horn of a gramophone. Well, what day were you born on, sir? And suppose the person says March 10th. That's a good one, March 10th. So you flip through the book to, let's see, March 10th, March 10th. There we are, March 10th. And would you please read for the audience what's on March 10th. And he will begin to read it. And in this case, for example, March 10th, let's see, wait a minute, here we are. New York Governor R.P. Flowers signed the nation's first dog licensing law. Nevada became the first state to register and regulate drugs and pharmacies. Walter Matthau and Art Carney opened in The Odd Couple, later a TV hit, and the U.S. voting age was lowered to 18. You go to someone else. What day were you born on? April 17th. All right, so you flip through, or let's take one toward the end of the year, September 17th. So you go through to, find September 17th, and there it is right there. And if you will, read what happened on your birthday. And you put the book in his hands, and he reads, well, President George Washington made his famous farewell address to Congress, and Vanessa Williams becomes the first African-American named Miss America, and so on and so on. This is essentially to demonstrate that the book has stuff in it. Now you go to a third person. Just think of your birthday. Say nothing, just think. In your past life, you may have been a warrior. I get the sense of a conflict, combat, bloodshed. And that's when you take out your pen, and it's right over here, thank you, and on your notepad or scribble pad or whatever, you just write the word combat, like that. Now, when I'm personally performing, I don't write. Instead, I just say to someone, will you remember this detail, please? I get a very strong impression, something about combat. There's bloodshed, tremendous amount of fighting, people dying. Either way, okay? This way puts you on written record. The other way gets more people involved. Take your pick. We're back to the person with the birthday. I also get a very kind of an uncomfortable sense. Rapid change in temperature. I don't think you're being burned at the stake, nor are you burning a steak. But, well, I'm kind of hot and cold on this. Well, if you will, please, or you write it down, temperature. And then, perhaps not in a previous life, well, I get the sense of treasure, riches, gold. Shame you couldn't bring it back with you. So would you write that down, please? Golden treasure, something like that. Or you write it down yourself. There's something odd, an odd use of key. Doesn't really make sense to me. Something about key. Write that down, please, or you do it. And then, and this is important, something is coiled, not a snake, but like this. Well, what day? Oh, I have two confessions to make. One confession is that one of these glimpses I've had is almost certainly wrong. My second confession is I'm not sure which one it is. What day were you born? And as soon as the person gives the day, what day of the year, let's say...
August 13th.
August 13th, aye. And of course, that's when you flip through and you find August 13th. And if you like, drop a bookmark into the book, and then you hand it to the person, and you recap. And this is really important because this is your finish. This is your recap. You want the audience to be fully aware. Now let's see. You just thought of your birthday, and I got the impressions of something about warfare and death and blood and battle, and then there was a key, and then there was this treasure and gold, and then there was this thing, and then the temperature thing, and so if you would, and now you take the book back. Okay, the fact that you put it in their hands is more than enough, but there's a reason why you want to take the book back. Because when you open it, and you can open it very clearly and openly so the person can actually see that, hello, that date. Okay, what was it?
August 13th.
August 13th. Okay, whoops, wrong August 13th. I went the wrong way. There we are. Yes. So you take the book back from the person, and with her looking right over your shoulder, you open it to that page, but turn the bookmark sideways so it covers the day in mind. Then you will go to the spot on the page immediately above or immediately below. In this case, it's the very top one on the page. That's why you're going to go to the one below. If it was the one on the bottom, you go to the one above it. If it's in the middle, you have your choice, but just do one of them. Don't beat this dead horse terribly. But turn it sideways and say, you know, if you were born one day later on August 14th, read what it says. Well, the cathedral in Cologne, Germany was reopened after renovation, and robbers get away with $1 million in a truck heist and so on. Just, doesn't sound familiar, but you were born on August 13th. Slide that bookmark down, please, and reveal the top sentence only. And that's when, of course, you would go back and pick up your card upon which you'd made the notations. And she reads, Massachusetts Mercantile introduced the key-operated cash register. That's the unusual key that I was thinking of. Cool. She reads again. The Japanese fleet smashes the Russian Navy at the Battle of the Yellow Sea. Well, I saw you in combat. I don't think you were Japanese. I think you were one of the Russians. Lost Treasure magazine begins publication. Oh, well, that obviously was why I was unsure about whether you'd brought the treasure back with you or not. Very good. And finally, it says, Honeywell offers a rugged thermostat for regulating temperatures from -40 to 380 degrees Fahrenheit. That's the temperature. Thank you for sharing your past lives. Okay? Now, the work on this is real easy. There are actually, once again, it's a flip book, there are 2 sets of dates. There are actually, let's see, what's 2 times 366? A lot of dates. And if you flip the book so that you are looking at the even numbered pages as they fall, you are looking at legitimate information for the even numbered dates. Okay? If you're looking at the even number as it falls, you are looking at legitimate information for even numbered dates. The odd numbered dates are all going to have the same stuff, basically. But hold on, it's not quite that involved. If you flip it the other way, if you're looking at odd number pages, then the legitimate information is on the odd number dates. Okay? And you don't have to remember a whole lot of this either, because we've also put a crib on the back. You see, all of that information will be in one of 5 categories, all of the force information. It will either involve a warrior combat, and therefore we have this Plains Indian in his decorative feathered bonnet up here. He's a warrior. Then you zigzag over to the second item down in this column. Notice there's a large thermometer with a red pointer. It's all about a change in temperature. Back over to the third column and the handful of gold doubloons. It's about gold, it's about treasure. Back now over to this column, the 4th item down, and there's a piece of sheet music in the key of, I don't know, C sharp? Yeah, C sharp. And then finally over here to the very last one, there's a snake coiled. Okay? It's really important that you do this. There's something coiled, because you see, every one of the force paragraphs will have those 4 of those 5 things built in, but not always directly into the text. For example, it may say that on this date a tornado wiped out Paducah, Kentucky. That's the sound a tornado makes when it hits, by the way. Paducah. But there won't be it won't say spiral or coil, but you've made this motion. Okay? Or it may be about so-and-so developed first identified the spiral structure of DNA. Or for the first time, the spiral shape of a hurricane was seen from space. Or Leonardo da Vinci invented the spiral air screw, which later became a helicopter, and so on. If it's a warrior, it will always be about a famous battle, and to the best of our knowledge, even on the force pages, we have referred to battles that actually occurred very near that day, if not exactly on that day. So, for example, when you're describing the U.S. militia hands British regulars a bloody defeat at the Battle of Chippewa, that happened pretty close to July 8th. Okay, all of these are fairly accurate. Okay, for the key, you're going to get, for example, a key-operated adding machine, a key typewriter, handcuff keys, certain things were invented, a lock was patented. Francis Scott Key wrote the Star-Spangled Banner. Something about perhaps Key West was incorporated as a city, but there will always be key there. Ben Franklin flew his kite and key, or the key that Ben Franklin flew on his kite was presented to the Smithsonian or auctioned or whatever. That's a lie. When you're talking about gold and treasure, it will be Blackbeard buried his treasure on this little island in the river, or the Spanish Armada got caught in a hurricane and sunk, or Mel Fisher recovered the enormous treasure of the sunken Atocha, or he opened his treasure museum in Key West, things of that sort. And then the temperature will always be about something having to do with temperature, and usually a change in temperature. For example, Vasco da Gama discovered warm-blooded penguins swimming in the icy cold waters of the Antarctic. Celsius invented his freezing to boiling scale for the thermometer, or on the day Fahrenheit did the same thing. In other words, no matter how it turns out, when you describe warrior blood combat, when you describe I sense a change in temperature, when you describe I see gold, treasure, riches, one of the items there might be the day King Tut was buried, or the day they dug him up. Then the key, and it could also be music. It could also be the key-shaped tuning peg on a violin, for example. And then down here, something coiled. And we have a coiled snake, but it's not a snake. There is not one snake reference in the book anywhere, nor on any of the legitimate alternate dates is there anything about a battle. Okay? So you don't, or a key, or changes in temperature. So therefore, you're very safe having someone look above or below to confirm once again that it's different, although the way you present that is, see, it's different. No, it's what happened if you were born just a day earlier or a day later. Then it's about them, okay? And that is essentially then the presentation for deja vu, or on this day. So I hope very much you will enjoy this presentation of Double Feature just as much as we've enjoyed putting it together. I've got to tell you, it was about a year's worth of work building these two. A lot of keyboard time, a lot of research time, a lot of image grabbing, and so on, in order to produce. By the way, every single one of the almost 700 pictures and illustrations in here is different. You will not see a duplicate picture anywhere. The same, by the way, goes for all of the posters. Not only are the legitimate posters all different, but also every Star Wars poster is actually a different Star Wars poster. That happens to be, by the way, so that if you are quickly riffling and you accidentally riffle the wrong direction, what people are going to see is just a bunch of different posters going by, and not necessarily wide enough open to see that they're all Star Wars, all Forrest Gump, or all Dracula. Okay? This is a prop that will last a long time for you. Just do this. Whenever you store it closed and flat, maybe between a couple of other books even, or vertically on your bookshelf between other books. That will go a long way toward helping it keep its firmness. Another thing that will help is not bending it way too far. You don't have to. You can just from here, as I said, maybe at that 45-degree angle, and no more. And by the way, if it happens that as you're going through the book and you have a brain cramp or forget that when you're going for the imagined date, the one they didn't reveal to you, you accidentally go in the wrong direction, and you look down and you read the entry for that date, and uh-oh. Just go ahead and accidentally, let a couple more pages flip, and now you can turn back to the right one, just as you would with a regular book. And then drop the bookmark in and continue. That's Double Feature. I hope you liked it, and so does Larry.
Absolutely.
He just kicked the tripod. That was not an earthquake.